Welcome to Cultivating Wild Roots. I'm Carrie. A few days ago, I attended a soil health class, and I'm super excited to share what I learned with you guys. But first, I have a little backstory, so stick around to the end and find out how to better your soil. When I first started gardening, I told my husband I wanted him to build me 2 garden boxes out of railroad ties. I had no idea that railroad ties aren't really the best for vegetable gardens because they're loaded with all of these chemicals, and then that treatment material is not really good for your fruits and vegetables that you plan to be eating. So I had him out there, he's building all these beautiful boxes out of railroad ties, and we added soil and all of that, and I threw plants in there, and they didn't really do that great. They kind of sucked, actually. So I was really discouraged. We just didn't get any fruit off of that harvest. So the next year we figured we needed to do something else. So we lined the boxes with plastic, and I started a bunch of seeds indoors in this greenhouse that I bought from Ace Hardware. And I bring the greenhouse home, and I've got it sitting in a window, and I start all of these cells of plants. And while pretty much all of them germinated, and I was so excited, of course, at the time, I didn't realize that I have to do something with them. They need constant watering because they dry out pretty quickly. And I also needed to add lights because starting seeds indoors does not give those seeds enough light, and they get really long and spindly, and they aren't very healthy. Then as I realized that they were getting long and stretching for light, I thought, well, I'll just put them outside in the greenhouse and they'll stay warm enough. Well, little did I know, they froze. Needless to say, after all of this, I was pretty discouraged with gardening. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no concept of how to care for these plants. And so I set out to kind of learn more and figure out how to grow stuff. I mean, people have been growing plants for thousands of years, since the beginning of time, and I couldn't figure out how to get it going. So I spent the next 14 years trying to grow my knowledge in how to grow plants and how to have a fruitful harvest. I learned a lot of different lessons about gardening and also different methods. And so fast forward to today, I've learned just really how important the foundation is. You see, seeds that you start or plants that you get at the plant store, they all want to grow, but they just need the right conditions. And that's where the foundation comes in. Plants are a lot like you and I. They have needs. They want water, air, sun, macronutrients. And when we lack any of those or give them in excess, we stress the plant, sometimes beyond repair. So remember I told you I attended a soil class the other day. Well, I wasn't really sure what that was going to entail. I'm a level 1 master gardener, and so we talked a lot about soil health in our master gardener class. We covered everything from pH to watering and nutrients and all of that. So when I signed up for the soil class, I wasn't really sure if I was going to be learning new information, and boy was I wrong. Man, I learned so much in this class, and it was so worth it. So I'm excited to share with you guys what I learned. The lady who taught the class, her name was Patti Armbrister, and she has a YouTube channel called Agrarian Food Web, and she is super knowledgeable about everything soil and plant related. Healthy soil is made up of minerals, water, air, and organic matter. Patti's point was that when the plant is healthy and full of nutrients, then the plant itself is actually fighting off pests and diseases. Plants also work with a symbiotic relationship with the root system. Healthy plants put back into the roots to feed the microbiology that lives in the soil. So when we do things like till up the ground, we are basically sending a tornado through a town. So we're tearing and ripping up all of this soil structure, giving too much air in certain areas, and taking bacteria that are supposed to be at the top of the surface, and we're putting them down at the very bottom, and we are just wreaking havoc on this symbiotic relationship that is soil. So the best thing that we can do for our plants and our soil and all of that is to not till it up. Don't go through and wreak havoc in this little city that's made up of microbiome. We want to do everything that we can to protect our soil. We want to put coverings on it to protect the moisture content, to protect the bacteria, to protect the worms. Mulching is a really good first defense to protecting your soil. The next important thing is to create diversity in your garden. So that means adding a bunch of different plants, planting intercropping things and co-planting and companion planting, all of that. Like putting all of those things together is such a huge importance in your garden because you're protecting from pests, you're varying the nutrients that are being taken up to the plant, and you're also varying what goes back down into the soil. Okay, so this year I want you to plan a few next steps so that you can have garden success. If you have an area where you would like to add a new garden bed, say it's out in the lawn or something, instead of tilling all of that up, I want you to lay cardboard over the top and then put some rocks on that and let that kill the grass or weeds or whatever is underneath. Next, if you have a raised bed or an established garden, focus on amending the soil. Technically, we would amend soil in the fall, but since it's already spring and we've passed that time, now is better than never. So grab some compost. Organic is better than not. Grab some worm castings, which is worm poop, and also grab a bag of organic fertilizer. Look for something that has mycorrhizae fungus in it. The backs of these packages will all tell you how much to use in your allotted space, but apply them to your garden spot right now. The benefit of this is going to allow for the bacteria and the fungus to get established so that when you go to plant your plants in there, they'll be going into a nice, healthy growing medium. Lastly, we're gonna focus on diversity. So say you're gonna plant a few tomato plants. Well, underneath them, plant nasturtiums, carrots, basil, marigolds. If you commingle and mix things up a bit, you're not depleting all of one thing. Think of a forest. It's not planted in these pretty little rows. It's all mixed up. And I know sometimes that kind of messes with our head, but it's really beneficial. You're allowing bacteria to be fed and not be depleted of all of the nutrients. I know we're not ready to plant yet up here in the north, but amending your soil and getting it ready for when you are ready to plant is going to be a lot more beneficial to the plants as they go into the soil. Lastly, after you finish up, put a nice layer of mulch over the top so you can protect the area below it and help retain some water. Thanks for visiting Cultivating Wild Roots. Remember that you can do this. You can grow an epic garden and provide food for your family. If you have any questions or maybe ideas of things that you would like to talk about, drop them in the comments down below. That'll really help me to kind of see where you guys would like to go with this channel. And always remember to like and subscribe and all those things down below here, and check out the description box for some links. See you next time.